Точно в този момент идва и следващия панел, който е изключително интересен, който е Microelectronics Policy Regulation. И за тази цел искам да поканя модератора на панела, Кристина Искинази.
Да, здравейте отново. Изключително съм вдъхновена, още по-позитивна. Благодаря ви за това. Успяхме да видим и успешни примери, което съм сигурна, че така заложихме една много силен старт на днешния форум. Ще си позволя да премина вече на английски, тъй като има и сред публиката, и сред партньорите изключително много партньори, които вече съществуващи на екосистемата от различни държави европейски международни. So I will switch in English for the next panel. For me it's a great honor to moderate very interesting and let's say something that I didn't think that will be coming up so soon. My dream usually is consist that, and several times the dialogue, the ecosystem approach was mentioned. For in the next panel, we will have a great opportunity to have an open dialogue with the representative of the Ministry of Innovation and Growth and Ministry of Education. And for me, it's a great pleasure to invite Professor George Angelov, who is the Deputy Minister of Innovation and Growth. Big applause for him. Professor, take your seat. Actually, to be honest, usually I took Professor Angelov as one of the most significant experts in the field of microelectronics. So I'm really sure that with his knowledge, both in political and business and academia side, he will give us a very interesting insight. So thank you for being with us. Of course, for me, it's a great pleasure to invite Milena Damyanova, PhD, who is the Director of Science Decorate in Ministry of Education and Science. Big applause for her also. And Ms. Lora Yosifova, who is the Head of Programming of Research, Innovation and Digitalization Support Instrument from Ministry of Innovation and Growth. Big applause. So please take your seat. And I will also join. Thank you. So I think that we already have some topic of discussion that the ministers and official guests already increased. But Professor Angelov, I will start with you. Can you share with us more insight? Because we heard that there is a policy, strategies, money, talent, but where are we and what are actually the activities that the Ministry of Innovation and Growth is planned in order to increase, of course, and scale up the production and the industry of semiconductors in Bulgaria? So the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for your introduction. I am now, taking the advantage that the previous speakers, and these were renowned, ministers, all of them introduced quite well the overall picture. So we'll now have the opportunity to focus on some more specific aspects. Everything that was mentioned I won't repeat, but the key point is microelectronics and mechatronics are set in the priorities at various levels. So now our focus is to first keep, as you heard from Ms. Eva Medel, to keep on track and follow the administrative, procedures, first of which will enter in force hopefully before the end of the year. Based on this, we can develop our strategy and action plan, let's say, because the strategy is already adopted here at cluster level, because the cluster here is very important. It really combines all the key actors or the stakeholders. These are the companies, the universities, and the, let's say, public sector. So in the past 2 or 3 years, we have defined this. It is adopted. Of course, there are some nuances. There will always be, but the general topics are, agreed. And now we have to step on track. First is to join the CHIPS Act, and afterwards we have 2 tracks. One is Center of Competence, which is something, a kind of upgrade. We already saw good examples how this could be achieved. We also have a lot of lessons learned, what to avoid. So for me, there is a consensus. The next track is to see in particular consortiums based on projects, how we can include our stakeholders, the industry and the academia. One of the possibilities is to extend the expertise, because here we see the CEOs of the companies. I thank you very much for your time and for your efforts in the previous years. We can expand their activities. Here the goal is to attract more activities from their headquarters to be located in Bulgaria. This is number one. For instance, Bosch is here, but they are doing maybe just one portion of their overall activities worldwide. So I won't speak for the other companies. For instance, Melexis recently extended this, so this is a good example that we don't only have good wishes, but there's some reality, and when the business do this on its own, this means that the ecosystem is mature. And the second option is to attract additional spheres of activities. Peter Statev mentioned some of this. I would add that we can, in the future, consider also attracting a manufacturing facility here. Although this sounds too futuristic, but this is absolutely doable. Of course, not next year or the year afterwards. So, to let's say, summarize. One is the center of competence, which is something that we already have as a model. A lot of specifics to be accounted for, but it's absolutely feasible. Second is to extend the services that are already here by to extend the activities of already here companies with the additional activities, and also to add activities that are currently not done in Bulgaria. This is quite aligned to all of the CHIPS Act priorities.
Thank you. Very strong start. One question very fast to you. Something that several times and Minister Bogdanov mentioned is about our weak marketing spot. So we have a talent, we have a strong education, we have policies, we have plans, but what the ministry actually do as actions in order to promote the industry and of course to make more attractive to young people to get involved with it?
So now I'll take the capacity of how to say, deputy minister, because so far I was speaking as an expert.
Yeah, it's hard.
First of all, the ministry is relatively new. I'm quite happy that here were the three ministers that are absolutely involved by their functional nature in these, let's say, sectors, because without their concerted actions, nothing could happen. So our ministry is relatively new. In the public, let's say, in the wider public, there is no sense of the differences. A lot of people do not know about our ministry. I'm speaking of innovation and growth, or if they know about it, they don't make the difference between the economy and our ministry. This means that to the wider public, we have to be very consistent in broadcasting our specific areas of impact. But to the, how to say, to the professional public, it is quite well known. And we see, for instance, Minister Stoicheva, Minister Bogdanov, they mentioned about the defense industry. Here, with the help of the people in the tech park, we did something that surprised everybody. We managed to, how to say, to address the potential players, and we got 26 projects that applied for the Diana accelerator. This is the defense accelerator for the North Atlantic. Something that surprised. I was last week in Larnaca, in Cyprus, at a meeting of the European Space Agency. Everybody was quite pleasantly surprised that we acted with so many, we applied with so many projects. This means that we have here a lot of, how to say, productive ecosystem and environment, and we need to address it. This means that, how to say, the ecosystem is maturing even without the government, which is great. So we have the good foundation, and now some of the PRs, yesterday I delivered a lecture to them, maybe 45 minutes, as Professor Christoph always says, to educate them and to inform them what is the purpose of all these activities. Because I was struck to understand that some of the public don't understand and don't make the difference between the chips in microelectronics and other type of manipulations that I will skip now, but have in mind that in Washington last month we signed a memorandum, and it was exactly in the area of defeating the manipulation and the false information. This is one of the examples how things could be totally disrupted by speculation. So we have to, how to say, and this is the role of all of us, to use every case to teach and to educate the public what is the importance, what are chips and so on. Of course, this is boring for all of you because you know what it is, but to the wider public it's quite important. So our, at ministry level, this is specific information that I will now share, we have decided to start regular broadcasts of in online format of discussions on topics such as chips, energy storage, and so on, because we need to deliver and address the public with competent information. We did this quite well in the Technical University of Sofia 3 years ago. We started this as enthusiastic and very skeptical, where everybody was very skeptical, but we achieved it. This means that we can, of course, have the example to extend this to a national level.
Thank you. I'm sure that later on, among the panels with the business, also the business will share the best practices with us. Now going to Milena Damjanova. Several times we mentioned already that we have a very strong infrastructure. You are leading actually the National Research Infrastructure Roadmap. And can you share with us more about how this infrastructure is connected with microelectronics? And of course, what are the capabilities, the real capabilities of Bulgaria to be, why not, a leading country, or at least a top 10 countries in Europe?
Thank you. Before I start with my intervention, I would like to say that I'm really happy and proud to be here, because before entering the administration of Ministry of Education and Science, I was a scientist in Institute of Electronics of Bulgarian Academy of Sciences. This experience I gained there is very useful now for me in order to attend such kind of forums. Maybe almost all knows that the state policy for research and innovation is determined by Council of Ministers and implemented by both Ministry of Education and Science and Ministry of Innovation and Growth. That's why we rely a lot in close collaboration with our colleagues, with the Directorate Policy and Analysis in the Ministry, as well as the funding department, which is led by Ms. Yosifova. Our ministry is responsible for the implementation of national strategy for research development, as well as national strategy for higher education development. In the ministry, my directorate is one of the smallest units, which is responsible not only for policy making, but for funding and for development of the human capital, research infrastructure development, as well as for the assessment of our research ecosystem. You know, we have very fragmented ecosystem. Bulgarian Academy of Sciences with all its institutes, agricultural academies, 52 higher educational institutions, a lot of small centers and laboratories under different sectoral ministries. So the task is not an easy one, and for me it's really hard to speak concretely about the area of microelectronics, because microelectronics is everywhere. In my opinion, in any of the projects funded by National Roadmap for Research Infrastructures, there is a part devoted to the microelectronics. Our funding instruments are a lot. For competitive-based funding, we have National Science Fund, which funds on competitive base research projects of research organizations and universities. We have also executive agency who implement the programs funded by structural funds. This executive agency now is responsible for investments under National Recovery and Resilience Plan dedicated to education and science. Parallel with this we implement more than 20 different research national programs in different areas. For example, environmental, low carbon energy, climate, food, biotechnologies, a lot. All these programs, as well as the consortia implementing the objects of the National Roadmap for Research Infrastructure, are implemented by consortia of the leading and best performing research institutes and universities. This helps us to deal with the big fragmentation in our system, to expand our participation in European research area, as well as to Horizon Europe framework program. You know how many opportunities it gives to our scientific community. The only thing is to be proactive, to try to find partners. Internationalization is very important. So the roadmap, finally, to your question, the roadmap is the main strategic document of the country. It is long-term. It is adopted by Council of Ministers and describes the planned development of national research infrastructure. Now it consists of 51 different consortia, including the centers of competence, centers of excellence, different consortia with which we attend to European consortia for research infrastructure. The main goals of these documents is to avoid the duplication of expensive infrastructure, to maintain the existing one in good functional status, because you know the science in the recent years was underfunded. That's why the infrastructures we have very often is outdated or missing. All this discourages young people to enter the system, and this leads to age staff and insufficient. So you know the centers are in different areas. This is also for the other objects of the roadmap. I think that we cover all the areas of European roadmap for research infrastructures and its fields: energy, food, environmental, health, ICT, and social sciences.
Yeah, actually, I want to share with you that the direction of Milena Damyanova is quite few number with a huge amount of work, as already heard partially. Also, I'm a part of the national point of contact next to Horizon, and I can assure you that there is bunch more opportunities next to it. And Milena, very fast to you, and thank you that you mentioned and encourage, of course, the Bulgarian organization to search more opportunity next to Horizon. Now it's upcoming period 25-27. Do you think that there is a real opportunity? Is the CHIP Act somehow implemented? And what are the opportunities in front of the semiconductor industry to take advantage on this program? Because just to remind you, Horizon Europe is actually the biggest program worldwide for innovation. I mean, the biggest one. So, yeah.
As I said, it's hard for me to speak concretely with the topic of connected with microelectronics and the CHIPS Act. But the framework program is the biggest program for research and innovation with a lot of funding, a lot of opportunities. I'm sure we have a capacity. We have a tradition in the area of microelectronics. One of the thematic areas of our intelligence strategy for smart specialization is devoted to microelectronics. As I see from the forum here, from the people here, we have the chance. We have the chance. We have to try to find business partners, research partners, and to try, just to try, to apply.
Thank you, thank you. Well, back to you with much more question. I want to encourage you during the coffee break and the networking. Please found Milena. She's quite proactive and like a walking encyclopedia when it comes to a different scientific and research projects. So thank you for being with us. Next to, yeah, of course.
Because in order to keep the audience alive, after Ms. Yosifova presents the general outlines, I would like before the end in this format to draw the outlines of the center of competence and to see the options how to, let's say, I will use to tie it or to link it to the operational program, to the roadmap of research infrastructure, in order for all of us to get the idea and also to get some feedback from you, because you saw now is the timing to address and to deliver the message of Bulgaria to the European level. Eva Maido, it's quite important what she said. And now is the time, and this is the forum that should do it, because we managed, thanks to the cluster, Dimitar, Nikolov, and all of you, for the synchronization. This is very rare case to do it this way. So, thank you.
Thank you. I think, and at the end, I will ask you something that is one of my dreams, and I hope to have news. But right now, going to Lora Yosifova, I will count on her to share with our audience, with us, of course, about this so expected program, one of the biggest actually for innovation and research in Bulgaria, which involved business, academia, and different infrastructure on board. There is already good examples that coming up and good news coming from the program. So, yeah, please share with us more about it.
Thank you. A lot have been heard from the morning. A lot of, let's say, political dedication, which is quite good in our environment, to know that we have strong leadership, which is quite important in order every sector to be developed, especially research and innovation. I'll come to a little bit more practicalities. And that's the financing of these ideas, ambitious ideas that we have. I count on being ambitious, because if we don't have ambition, we don't know where we are going. The program itself is unique for Bulgaria, that's true. It's a 2 billion level, let's say 1 billion euro program. It's in 3 different areas, of one which is, let's say, research, applied research, development of centers of excellence, competence, what already has been built, what we have invested in infrastructure and laboratories and equipment. Now it's time to see them working and acting as real research centers. Second strand is one of the most interesting for today's audience, I believe, and this is the collaborative schemes between the industry and academia. We have built the program using, let's say, the staircase model, and everyone can step in every step. It can be from the very first step to the latest, the last one, which is with the largest amount of funding, and is challenge-based. It's challenge-based and thematic focused. Starting from the very first level, we will provide grants to industry, to small and medium enterprises, for innovation vouchers to go to universities and research labs and institutes to search for research-intensive services. Second, we'll provide funding for collaboration, for collaborative schemes, for support for fast track to innovation or for partnerships in green and digital technologies. Of course, priority areas are areas of the smart specialization strategies, but this is because it's European funding. We have to align it with the smart specialization and regionalization strategies. The last one, which is quite interesting, I suppose, for some of the industries, it might be, is the industry-led programs. This should go for research-intensive and innovation programs, which are large. They have a lifespan of at least 4 to 5 years and have an ambitious funding of up to 15 to 20 millions. And the idea of these programs is to really be challenge-based. So we have a program, we have a systemic problem or systemic opportunity, and we have to find a way to reach to this problem, to find for decision or to grab the opportunity, which from what Mr. Statev said a few minutes ago is one of the options for our industry and for our research and innovation landscape. If we speak of centers of competence, yes, there are a lot of centers of competences that already has been funded for development and will be continuously funded until 2027. But the possibility which is provided by the CHIPS Act and the CHIPS joint undertaking is to create something new as a model, as far as I can see it. It's not a typical center of excellence, a competence, what we have currently in our landscape. It's a little bit different model, which is building on expertise, technological expertise and expertise that will provide concrete services to SMEs and to other partners of the innovation ecosystem. So indeed, I believe that we can build on what we already have, but we have to think a little bit differently towards this center of competence. To be concrete, our program is the only one available in Bulgaria that provides synergies with European funding, and it's not only Horizon Europe. There are much more opportunities at this stage. One is the Digital Europe program, which is not so well known for now for our companies and research organizations, for some maybe, but not for the whole community. And of course, the opportunities that will be developed as part of InvestEU and as part of this innovation funds, European Innovation Council, and other programs. So the research and innovation program for Bulgaria currently, it provides synergies, all types of synergies, and I believe that we are trying to be quite novel in Europe, at the European level, to be the only country that is wishing to transfer national funds to the joint undertaking, to be governed by the joint undertaking, and to provide this additional funding to companies coming from Bulgaria or to consortia that are coming from Bulgaria. This will be quite a breakthrough in the financing of European landscape, but let's see whether we will be effective and whether we will be able to finalize the negotiations with the joint undertaking itself. But anyway, support for the joint undertakings is available. As you know, or some of you maybe know, that European programs are governed by special committees, which are there are a lot of people which participate in these committees and can provide a lot of feedback to what we are planning to do. Also, all types of activities that we are planning for the next years are available publicly, so anyone can see what we are planning and comment and propose changes or other activities. So we are quite open and transparent, I would say. in November, there will be a monitoring committee for our program. And at this monitoring committee, we are expecting to be approved this overarching scheme for European partnerships. Its CHIPS undertaking is one of that, but there are another 8 also. For example, we are active in hydrogen joint undertaking. So there are a lot of opportunities. Euro HPC, yes, joint undertaking, of course. There we're as well very active. And others, there are rail, aviation. Maybe we are not good at in
also we had meeting
health. Yes, there are 9. There are 9. So we can provide support for any of the partnerships. But the idea, and it should be known that participation, of course, as this is the general principle of the Commission, is that public funds should be matched with private financing. So we're providing support which goes to companies as well, of course, and to research organizations, but this does not cover the whole financing that should come also from the business. But anyway, the procedures are already well known. We have some practice, and if you have concrete questions, I'll be available to answer later on.
Yeah, actually, something that coming up in my mind by listening to you and Ms. Milena Damyanova, I see a lot of similarities and connections. Talking about infrastructure, center of competence, center of excellences, Horizon also, because so far this was majorly going in Ministry of Education and Science. And I'm wondering, because I see that there is a lot of potential from business point of view, what I meant. If I want to create some innovation, I will need people, I will need infrastructure. So how can I access to this infrastructure? And probably, not probably, I'm searching for investment and commercialization. So the both programs, I heard that they have a lot of similarities from your point of view, and I will ask you, all of you, to take some statement, how those 2 programs and those 2 ministries actually can work together in order to support us as a food solution, the business, and of course the industry. Thank you. Well, be first.
The input, I'm not sure if we can project the concept. I just want a few more minutes of your attention, because I think this is the culmination to present the concept of the center and to, how to say, to have some objects for considerations. Можем ли да пуснем тук файла да се прожектира? Да. Айде, ако обичаш, качи го. Okay. The idea is to set up a center of competence in microelectronics. I will skip the good words. You already know that we are proficient in wording. The idea is to set up a center that is based on professional teams, something that is already validated in Sofia Tech Park and also in the centers of excellence. So here I assume that everybody is well aware of this. If not, we will send you the entire document. So the core is to have a setup or teams that are professional, validated, including external specialists. We have the good example in this with the so-called research universities that started in January this year, where we attracted world-renowned experts. And we started particular activities with one of the companies. I don't see here Simeon, maybe somewhere there, with Global Foundries, for instance. What are the main idea? To deliver services to industry and academia, including education and training, and what is key, reskilling. Minko Daskalov and idea of Senov in this direction. Also, development of intellectual property. This is quite important. It is discussed in the recent year in Bulgaria 2 or 3 weeks ago, there was a presentation of the recommendations of the Joint Research Center for our ecosystem in the area of technology transfer, and the intellectual property was one of the topics. This document will be released to the public very soon. And the industrial collaboration and technology transfer will be the ultimate goal of the services. So we will include contract research, joint laboratories, proof of concept funds. You know that now within our ministries, the funds, we have a representative here. Maybe later she will give more details, but now we are in a process of setting up a fund for technology transfer, 60 million euro budget, and we also have additional money, 8 million in the program Research Innovations and needed in Bulgarian for setting up a technology transfer office. This is again topic for more than 10 years discussed. And so overall picture, professional teams, services to academia, industry, training, reskilling, and intellectual property. What are the activities in more details? This is something that we discussed, for instance, last year and at cluster level many times. Design of integrated circuits, testing of devices and technologies, packaging of semiconductor devices, technology development, including advanced materials and processes. This part of the pilot lines, let's say, the first were part of the design platform. And finally, fabrication of integrated circuits, collateral incentives, stimulation, VC funding of projects. Maybe this is something that we discussed at the level of the setting up the fund with the fund of funds, VC funding from projects and initiatives, and funds for education and students. This is the good example of the UK of this, what was the name? Yeah, UK skills, yeah. Nikolov is quite aware. So I'm now, you see, changing the style because all of you are aware, and here most important is to get the idea and to have your feedback, initial feedback. This will not be formal feedback. So this is the particular topics. The structure, we have a lot of lessons learned for the centers of excellence. I'm very happy that you are here in this format. One of the main problems and the drawbacks were that still the centers of excellence and competence are not legal entities. This is a huge problem for their operational activities and for their sustainability. This is also addressed in the publicly available recommendations of the JRC when they did the due diligence of all of our centers of excellence. This is quite interesting document, which is publicly available. We maybe will attach this as a follow-up afterwards, because it is deeply digged in the link somewhere in the web. So the idea is to have a legal entity that is linked, it is separate legal entity, but it should be linked to the existing infrastructure, the laboratory complex here in the Tech Park, the centers of excellence, so that we can reduce the administrative and other burden. This means to reduce costs. And also, in order to ensure the sustainability, it's very important to follow. This is not just words, this is a huge problem that is quite evident for me now in my new capacity. We should definitely observe the state aid rules, because a lot of the engineering and scientists' enthusiasm crashes the reality when it's about state aid. This is a huge problem. It's obvious.
For microelectronics, there is a special regime.
Special regime, yeah. But this is very important to be done in the process of formation, because we saw lessons learned in Tech Park when it is a company, but afterwards it is a research organization. All of these activities should be now, how to say, fine-tuned in order to avoid the same mistakes. And finally, the funding. It's not finally, maybe it's the initial. It could come from the EU CHEPS Act initiatives, you know, the joint undertaking, very important to stress it again. The joint undertakings of the EU are the vehicles that fund cooperation and projects at higher technology readiness levels. This means projects that are close to the industrial realization or so-called technology transfer. This is, how to say, the main purpose for these joint undertakings. And for instance, we have very good example with the Euro HPC for something that is successfully achieved. So that is why very important for the companies to understand this and to deliver the message to their headquarters that now this is an additional vehicle for funding of their activities, because the joint undertaking fund large-scale projects with real industry players. In fact, a project without a real industry player has very limited chances for success. And funding from the Bulgarian operational programs, now called only programs, and very important to attract funding, direct funding from the industry based on projects. This will mean that we are mature, but of course in the beginning it will be difficult to start with this funding, but this is one of the priorities in entire European, how to say, paradigm to reduce the public funding and to increase the industrial funding. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Angelov, that providing with us with such a strict plan. It's good to know that we're having a plan and follow it. If I may ask you a very practical question, because next to each plan and strategy, there is a need of, let's say, quick win. I mean, first, second, third, and call for action. This is from my experience in business. So from your point of view, and of course, taking advantage to have such a variety of different stakeholders among the public. So which will be and what is the goal for action? Which are the first, second step that is required to start probably today?
I think we are doing now the first step. We saw a very nice picture, roses and clouds and sun. Everything is happy. Now we are presenting the idea that should be first of all probed and to see what is the response of the players, because this initiative is absolutely without any purposes and any reasons to be activated without the acceptance of all of you here, the industry and the academia. We have our own expertise in doing projects. We are now going at different level. For instance, Professor Statev, you should be at least honoris professor in our university. He presented one of the many, but maybe most recent achievements. We have a lot of such achievements. This is quite important to be addressed to all of you. We are now talking about higher level, the level at which we are increasing the scale and the capacity, and the level at which all of our players here, the stakeholders, maybe initially you will feel some competence, but competence is good when there is an opportunity to increase the resources for everyone. We are going higher level where we need to do it if we have common understanding. Otherwise, it's useless. We will join administratively the CHIP Act. Without the activities of all of you, we won't have, or we will have just 1-2 projects that won't score, and the year afterwards, nobody will have reasons to justify our participation there. So it's very important now that we accept, all of us accept this concept. We won't spend money for infrastructure or something that we already have. We will step on the good examples of the Center of Excellence of Competence. Here is the key is to concentrate and to construct the teams, the professional teams, to fill the gaps and to fill the niches. We have identified this. We have good basis with the joint undertaking of Euro HPC, so we are not starting from the scratch, and we will go for the big money.
I think sounds like a great plan, and unfortunately the time is running fast as usual, but my asking to you is, of course, many more meetings between the ministry ecosystem, because I'm sure that together we'll achieve better result. Thank you again, and yeah, it was to guiding all of you who want to ask more questions. Please do not hesitate next to lunch break or coffee break. So yeah, thank you again. Big applause for our guest. And thank you, Professor Angelov, that you actually make the wishes from the ministers from the morning. Be active, do something very punctual, and go for action. We already have a plan, so.
Thank you, everybody. And I would like to give special tributes to Professor Marin Christov, who, let's say, is the sparkle, maybe 34 years ago, because, you know, before the changes in Bulgaria, there was an industry in microelectronics. Afterwards, there was a big gap in the 90s and the 2000s, but Professor Marin Christov is the one that kept and maintained the core, started with CAD design, and a lot of the guys here and the companies and the ecosystem and the students and we ourselves are part of his vision. At that time it was impossible, but he did it. So thank you very much, Professor Christov.
Thank you.